Hi, Brats Babes. Here we go again. This is like the fourth time, or maybe the third, that I've had to hit record. I accidentally hit the stop record button on the previous one. The one before that, I messed up and zoned out hardcore. So that one was messed up on the account of all the dead air and the fact that I don't have space on my phone to edit it. I need to stop looking over there. It keeps distracting me. My glass is dug into my nose and it hurts. Anywho. I do want to put a little bit of a trigger warning at the start of this. I am kind of talking about like the past a little bit. Trauma's mentioned, maybe even hinted at. I'm not sure. But I don't explicitly say anything. But there are themes of, I don't know, mental illness, trauma, and religious trauma, particularly. So, I was raised without any particular religion. At least that was what it was supposed to be. My father wanted us to be able to, I guess, choose our own path or whatever. Or whatever. My dad's kind of a cherry picker. He'll take bits and pieces of all sorts of religions and run with it. Well, maybe shuffle. He don't really do running no more. But yeah, and his mother, yeah, she's honestly at the root of a lot of our family's trauma, at least on dad's side. And quite frankly, she's messed up my cousins, my aunt, and my siblings and myself. She is a Jehovah's Witness. And you know how many extra bonus points you get whenever you get others to convert. Even if they're not actually serious, you get bonus points for converting people. And so she's been brainwashing us from the time we were very little to fall into line with her religious views. And my father allowed that. And I'm still pissed at him about that, actually. I genuinely am. Because had that not happened, I feel like I would have had a different, like, relationship with religion. And instead, I have this god-awful, ugly, scarred up sort of relationship with religion. I feel like it's hard because I don't know how to like concisely put it into words. Exactly, like I'm not even sure how to like deal with it. I don't know how to heal from this. I don't know what to do going forward. I don't know religious trauma. I don't know how to handle it. I don't understand it. It's in my blind spot and it scares me too much to touch it because it's too confusing. And I don't know. When I was about 12 or 13, maybe younger than that even, I had always felt drawn to Judaism. So that's what made me pursue it. I go to a Reform synagogue, which I refer to as temple because oftentimes Reform synagogues in America are called temple. I'm not going to tell you the name of my particular temple because just right now it's no bueno. The world's not exactly in a pretty place when it comes to Jewish people, whether they're from Israel or they're Americans or other country Jewish people. If you're Jewish, you're automatically bad guy right now. It's pretty fucking awful, actually. And kind of a little bit like anxiety inducing, I'm not gonna lie. Not that I'm letting anything stop me. But I don't know how to approach Judaism and also heal from my previous religious trauma. I cannot vibe with Christianity whatsoever. Everything about Christianity makes me physically sick. Like, at least the way that it was shoved onto me. The way that any bad thought made me a bad person. And as a person with OCD and intrusive thoughts, that's damaging. Then, like, there's also, like, then there's also the aspect of being told my whole life that my job is to obey men and to be lesser than, to be subservient. And I always felt like my future was going to be this hellish prison of heterosexual marriage and child rearing and mothering. That was my worst fear as a child, like, as far as adulthood went. That was the scariest part about growing up. And I feel like had things been different in a different world, I probably would have, I don't know, become a nun or something just to avoid that sentence. So yeah. I don't even believe in Christianity, and it was used as a weapon against me, and I have a hard time grappling with that. It was used as a way to control me and to hurt me and to hurt how I viewed myself. And it really badly damaged my relationship with religion and God in general. And I have a hard time grappling with the heavy patriarchal leanings of a lot of religion. I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time with the men getting to make the rules, the men getting to have the say. I have a hard time with that. Now, I'm not saying that that's a thing at my temple. That's not a thing that we really worry about. But it's at the root. You know, it's in the material. And it's hard to grapple with that. I'm not going to lie. And I don't know how to grapple with that, but also still learn how to deal with it and, like, I guess connect going forward. So at this point in the discussion, I would like for us to pivot into a more queer topic, but still related. So I was assigned female at birth. And my childhood was awful traumatic. It was awful. And I've been on a journey to heal that, to work on that, and to move on, and I guess to become a mentally healthier person. Because the way I was living before was completely unacceptable. I came out my freshman year as trans. At first, I came out as like gender fluid or non-binary because I wasn't sure. I was in the questioning phase, so I was like, let's just throw this out here as something to ease into things as I figure myself out. You know? It's like, I am inherently queer, but I'm not certain how. So let me just slap a random label, run with it until I figure it out. And then I ultimately came to the conclusion that this is Morgan's fault. I came to the conclusion that I had to be all in or nothing. You know, it's all or nothing. You either have to be all male or all female. And this was kind of a mentality that was kind of partially pushed on me by one of my school friends who, at the time, Morgan, we're not friends anymore. We had a big falling out. Honestly, it's for the best, though. That was not a healthy friendship. That was not a healthy friendship. But I still very much felt like that all or nothing kind of attitude, and she kind of fed into it. And I'm not saying it's solely on her, but she definitely fed into it, like, substantially. So that's one of the, like, aspects that kind of fed into things, as well as, like, my father fighting me on everything made me, like, also double down, because it's like, well, now I have to be taken seriously because now my dad's acting like I'm, like, I don't know, some sort of a joke or something. It was stupid. And in addition to that, a lot of like the trans medicalism and gatekeeping of the trans community, I feel like that also fed into things. I wanted to be taken seriously as a queer person. And that was stupid and self-destructive. I didn't know it at the time, but it was self-destructive. And I was also hiding from my traumas and my emotions. And I haven't come to realize that until much more recently. I've come to realize that by severing all ties with femininity and living as a male for a decade, all I did was effectively do more harm than good. I've stunted myself. That's what I did. I stunted myself and put myself through hell. Now, I don't regret anything along this journey. I choose not to live with regrets. Besides, I still don't fully identify 100% with anything. I'm an enigma. You know? So, I guess, like, genderqueer is the label that I feel aligns most closely with me now. Or maybe agender. Either of those labels, honestly. Pronouns, I don't really care. Most people just use female pronouns, and I'm not mad about it. I don't have a problem with it. I don't care. I guess she, they pronouns. Yeah. But, a lot of it was me trying to hide from a lot of my past trauma. I built up these walls around myself. These walls of masculinity, and hid away from the world. And anything feminine, I cut off and shoved in the deepest, darkest place to be neglected, to be left to fester. Like a bad infection that you refuse to let clear. Only out of stupidity, though. It's not a refusal out of stubbornness. It's just out of stupidity. And I kind of shut myself off from a lot of my, like, I tried to deny a lot of my trauma, like, pretend it didn't happen. And I shoved it out really, really deep, and that had a lot of consequences. on me psychologically. I hadn't realized, but I've always been fucked up. I hadn't realized that until adulthood, unfortunately. But I've never been normal, and I've never been okay. I haven't been okay since I was 4 years old. And I don't know. It's just, it's a very, very awkward and strange journey. And I feel bad because it's confusing for everyone at Temple, I think, because they didn't know me prior to all of this. Like I said, me moving down here was within around the pandemic. It was just, yeah, it was around the pandemic when I finally moved here. I was attending services online actually during the pandemic. And then when things were finally, given the green light to, go back to being in person, I've attended for the last like 2 or 3 years now in person. Oh, wow. This has been a 4-year journey so far since starting the attending services virtually. That because I kind of count that as my start, not really so much the researching phase. Because on your own, you can only guess, I guess, as to what the rules mean. There are 613 commandments, and all I can hope to do is to try my best. And that's, as far as I can tell, that's all God wants us to do, is to try our best. Sincerely. I'm trying. And, but anywho, that's a little bit off topic, I think. Now that's just a side quest of the conversation. Anyway, so it's just like very awkward, and I feel like, okay, so me being off of testosterone is relatively recent, the past couple of months, or so. I am not remorseful about testosterone. I'm actually quite happy with the results of it. I like that I'm in the middle ground. I like that I could, depending on how I dress myself, I could pass for either gender. And that's very pleasing to me. I'm in a very comfortable place with that. With as far as dysphoria and gender identity goes, I don't have dysphoria anymore. And I think that that's been the biggest contributing factor to me actually handling things and like healing, because it's like, okay, I don't have dysphoria anymore, so it's time we actually tackle this stuff and start actually dismantling this toxic masculinity I hid behind. Nobody knows me. Nobody has known me for a very long time because of how much I've hidden myself away. And I'm not gonna lie, a part of this was like closely corresponds with my depressive episode. My depressive episode started right before I came out. I shut down entirely. I shut down as a person. I shut down as a friend. I shut down as a student. I shut down completely. I was on autopilot mode just trying to survive. And it's like, I lost the quote-unquote best years, but I don't care because high school's not actually even a big deal. It's so irrelevant in the big scheme of things. So I don't regret how my teen years were spent. As a matter of fact, I'm actually quite grateful the fact that I shut myself off. because I didn't make stupid decisions. I didn't get hurt. I didn't learn hard lessons. I sat back and watched my peers make mistakes and learned from that. And I'm kind of grateful for that, because I could have walked away with a lot more trauma and a lot more pain. So I don't have any regrets even on that side of things. But I've only just recently started to come out of my decade-long depression. I'm feeling my feelings again. My walls are down. I am naked. For the whole world to see. For the first time, possibly ever. I've never, ever been so open to the world. To let the world see me and perceive me, instead of putting on a mask to hide behind. Sorry, I'm getting a little choked up. It's not easy to talk about. Like I said, I've had to record this video multiple times. But overall, everyone at Temple seems to be handling things really well. I'm pretty sure that they're probably assuming that I'm male to female transgender. I don't care. They can assume whatever they want. I don't care if they view it as valid or not. I genuinely don't. And that's how I know I'm in a much more comfortable place in my life, is because I don't care how people perceive me. And that's... Ugh. Oh, homie, I'm so sorry that I just killed you. I just killed this bug, man. I just squashed him. I feel so bad. I didn't mean to. I meant to brush him off. Poor little guy. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm still getting used to feeling emotions. I genuinely feel really bad for that. I have a hyperempathy problem. The only bugs I feel okay killing are the ones that are a risk to my life. And that was nothing more than a giant mite. They're harmless. Mites don't bite. They don't even have heads. They don't have abdomens, thoraxes, or heads. Their body is just a ball with legs. Like, it startled me, and I didn't mean to brush it off so hard. I'm sorry. We're just really autistic today. Feeling our feelings. Really, to the extreme. And I know that part of this is probably like a little bit of like a whiplash type thing with the hormones. I recognize that. But I'm glad I can cry again. I haven't been able to cry since middle school. And it feels good to let things out. It feels good to clear out the infection, to air it out, to let down my walls and be seen, instead of feeling like some sort of a fraud who doesn't ever get known or actually genuinely loved. Because, like I said, I was hiding behind a mask. I constructed a mask and hid behind it because I felt like it was the safest thing to do. Sorry, some sort of a bug thing flew at my phone. And I was like pulling it away, trying to look and see if it landed on the back of it. Anywho, I don't know why I keep saying that. I heard it once when I was a kid, and I found it very, very funny. So I've been saying it ever since, and it's low-key problematic. It's annoying. But, yeah, so it's just like... And it feels really good to be able to open up and be honest and to feel like authentic. It feels good to be authentic, to not hide, to not feel the crushing burden of shame, constant shame and fear. That's all my life was for the last decade. It was depression, shame, and fear, and a self-destructive pattern to go with it. Yes, I know that I just wiped my nose on my arm. I don't care. I'm showering after this anyway. Okay. But yeah, I don't know. It's complicated. When my father named me, he gave me a stupid name that I hate. He chose my name. How rude. I don't know. I feel like things would have been different if my mom had chose my name. I might have liked it more. But no, I have the power to do that. Choose my name. And so I went with Anna Lee Rose. Or Annie. Because from the time I was very young, I always felt like that was always my favorite name. So yeah. Valentine is my legal last name, by the way. That's not like a pen name type thing. That's not like, oh, a screen name. No, Valentine is my legal last name. And I was born with it. Probably the only cool thing I got from my dad, other than like some hair texture and wicked dry skin. Thank God I am not super oily. I'm sorry, Mom is super Italian. Oh my gosh. I can't stand the texture of like how oily. Ugh. Fresh out the shower, hair immediately greasy. Can't understand it. I don't know how people can live with that. My hair is really dry. My scalp is dry. It's a chronic issue. Like my skin is very dry. I'm just very dry. But I prefer it over being like oily. As far as the skin on my face, I have actually a combined skin type. It's oily and dry. So yeah. The recent acne is because I've been very naughty lately and eating sugar. But to be fair, when you're starving and an opportunity presents itself and all that's available is birthday cake and ice cream and a soda pop, what more can you do? When what's available, it just happens to be sugar. But I've made good choices today and yesterday. And I'm proud of that because the temptation to eat the sugary processed stuff was very strong, especially today. There was this beautiful croissant. It was an apple croissant. It was beautiful and it looks scrumptious. And it was very hard for me to resist the urge to, have one with breakfast. Torah study always happens with breakfast. We always have breakfast and Torah study together, which is really nice. And usually, but instead of choosing the pastry, I decided that would only set me up to crash later. And that would lead me to have a quite miserable day. And set me up to continue fighting this fight in the future, set my future self up to have to deal with this. So I made a smarter choice and chose to have the lox, it's smoked fish, I think. It's smoked salmon or cured salmon or something. But it's really yummy in my opinion. I love salmon so much. I had that. I had tomatoes, cherries, and strawberries, and a cup of tea. And it was wonderful. Oh, and cheese. I forgot I had cheese. So I made sure I got, natural sugars from the fruit. Delectable, by the way. I'm craving fruit so bad. And that's telling me that my blood sugar has been in the toilet. I have been fighting to keep it up for the last 3 days. But I know protein will level it out, which is why I chose to have the lox and the cheese. When I'm starving, I can digest dairy. Which is really weird and interesting. But yeah. And the thing is, I don't know, I feel more alive now than I did during the past decade of my life. And I feel like suddenly I went from being frozen in suspended animation, stunted, unmoving and ungrowing, but trying to create the illusion of growing, of changing, of becoming. But I've been at a standstill for a decade. And now it feels like a lot of things that I never looked at, let alone dealt with, I feel like a lot of it is being dealt with in rapid fire now, and it's incredibly overwhelming. It's like I'm catching up on a decade's worth of mental and emotional growth, psychological growth. I have a decade of catching up to do, and it feels like it's happening very rapid, and it's very overwhelming, and it's very confusing, and it's very scary. It's like, I don't know, it's like either that or I'm really, really mentally ill. Probably both. But it's whatever. You want to know the worst part? I don't remember very well. It's hazy and foggy. Distant almost. And I need to recognize that even though those memories are distant, that's still me, and they're still my memories, even if I can't relate to them now. And I think that that's causing a little bit of a disconnect, and that's what's making things additionally confusing and complicated for no reason. Oh, that's awful. I'm making a blanket for my mom. Her favorite color is purple. I simultaneously work on multiple projects at once, especially when they're big projects such as blankets, and I just switch between them. But I digress. But I don't know, and I think that that's why I felt so absolutely, I feel like that's part of why I reacted as strongly as I did yesterday, though, is the absolute inherent vulnerability of it. The fact that I feel like I am bearing my soul naked to the world and letting down my walls and letting people in and letting people see me and connect with me for the first time. Letting them actually connect, not letting them connect with this mask that I put forth, but letting them connect with me. And that's a very, very terrifying and vulnerable thing when you've lived an entire life of keeping secrets and keeping to yourself and hiding yourself from the world. Masking, so to speak. Masking and concealing who you are. And It's genuinely a very vulnerable feeling. I don't think there's any more naked feeling in the world than this. And so for things to go as ugly as they did yesterday was especially devastating and especially terrifying. Like, everyone here knows me as a man. And so I think that there might have been a layer of that as well in yesterday's confrontation. And I'm not sure if I'm just being paranoid and reading into things too much, but I think that that's why it devastated me as much as it did and made me feel. Because yesterday, I dubbed it in my mind, rip the bandage off day. I had the energy and wanted to go to temple. Desperately. I needed to go. Deep down. And I knew that I needed to go. I needed to reconnect. You know, and I've been very isolated since my last bout with COVID. And so I knew that it was going to be awkward and painful and terrifying. But like I said, I decided I was going to rip the bandage off. And it went actually worse than I actually imagined it would. Going inside, I'm cold. It's cold inside too, though. But, yeah. But I thought I would just, like, kind of, I don't know, talk a little bit more to you guys, let you guys know a little bit more about me, tell you more of my lore. Guess I'm being naked for you guys, too. Welcome to my journey. And I don't know how much I'm gonna, like, actually discuss a lot of, like, I guess my trauma. I'm not sure, like, if I'm going to discuss any of it with you guys or not. I haven't yet come to that conclusion or any conclusion on that. Sorry for another long, rambly, heavy vlog. Tell me about your pets in the comments. And if you haven't got pets, tell me just something about cute animals, or something that you find pleasant and cheerful and lovely. Kind of lighten the mood. And I mean, if any of you guys want to ask questions or, like, open up the floor for discussion and or share, you know, any similar experiences, feel free. But you also don't have to. It's just, I kind of, a part of, like, me starting this channel was not only for me to have, like, a virtual diary that's more easily accessible to me than writing is anymore. But it's also to kind of open up the floor for discussion and to hopefully help people feel less alone or be even educational or informative. It might help people even just to understand another perspective. But yeah, I hope you guys like the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Like, comment, subscribe, you know, all that good stuff. Also, the name Annie is gender neutral, and I will die on that hill. Have a great one. Bye, Bratz Babes.